As someone dear to me used to say, what in the blue hell is normal? What is normal sex? Should we be having sex every day? How many times is having sex a good number? Is it the quality or quantity? Cliche. Erica and I go deep in this talk. Her and I have a special bond. We just do. Erica was a guest on the show in my first season, and it was one fiery episode. A long one, in fact. I had to split it in two. This one, we kept an eye on the time. But that's the thing when we talk about something we are passionate about. There is so much to cover, so much to bring to light. I won't spoil it for you. Come have a listen and watch us if you can. The energy between us is electrifying. Come on this wild and spicy ride on the healing train. I'm Rania, your host, relationship coach, speaker, author, practicing energy healing modalities. I bring to you these discussions so we can heal, become empowered, and grow together. This content contains mature subject matters. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. To work with me, you can find me on www.r2rcoaching.ca. Want to be a guest on the show? Send an email to guest@healingtrain.ca. Hello and welcome once again to the Healing Train podcast with Rania. And in this series, we are talking about sex, relationships, and anything you can imagine we can talk about when it comes to that subject. And if you can tell by looking at me, I am so excited because she's back on the show. Erica, welcome back. You and I have a crazy connection. I just love you. And I had to have you when we're talking about this topic because in the previous episode where we discussed, it was a bit similar about pleasure and whatnot. But this time we're going even deeper and we're getting even more sensual. So, Erica, welcome to the show.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wore the same outfit for you. I told you I would, and I did.
Yes.
It
I
seems
love
to
it.
be it seems to be that this is our greeting, you know? Whenever you and I are gonna
Yes.
meet, I'm gonna wear this outfit for you. Change the lipstick though. I didn't want to make it like all red. I said
Yes.
let's tone it down a little bit.
You look great, as always.
You do too, lovely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Erica, let's just talk about you a little bit, like who you
Yeah.
are, what you do, so the audience who haven't heard the previous episode would know who we are discussing with today.
Yeah. So my name is Erica Wiederlight. I am the owner of We the Light, and I am a coach. I'm a confidence coach that focuses on sexual empowerment, dating, self-love, and these conversations are just so important to me because I truly believed they saved my life. They saved my life and it helped me live a fulfilling life. So this work is so near and dear to my heart.
Thank you for the introduction. And I do believe that more and more people, Erica, are educating themselves
Yeah.
and reading, listening to podcasts, whatnot. Maybe we did not learn what we needed to learn growing up, or we
Mm.
learned wrongly. And now we're kind
Yes.
of correcting those misconceptions and unlearning.
Right. No, that is exactly it. Like, okay, what is my truth? What is my truth in this? And how do I want to participate in my own life? So, absolutely. It's a beautiful time to be within this work.
I'm gonna start with the very first topic slash
Yeah.
question. Who decided, okay, Erica, who decided that there is a normal number, the number of times of
Yeah.
couples that they should be having sex, whether it be in a day, in a week, in a month, all these statistics. Where did this healthy number come from?
I love that. I'm like marketing, probably, or
Yeah.
for us to buy things. Um, this is so good because before we hopped on the call, what was coming to me as I was getting ready for this conversation, and it's funny, we'll briefly touch on this, is seasons of our sexuality. And so it's so funny that you bring this question up because I think I'll just speak emotionally. There's so much pressure. if you, open, Cosmo magazine or wherever, when you read an article and pretend the numbers, this and you're not hitting it, or it's more or it's less than, there's shame.
Mm,
Or if you are hitting that number, you're like, but it's not that great, or like there's, so I understand why we do have a number maybe for like a metric, or some folks, why they do that.
mm.
However, I've seen it emotionally hurt a lot of people. So I understand why it's there. So it's like some data to look at. But I think, it's a very, how do I say, like a clickbaity type thing. Like how
Mm.
many articles have we seen? Like you should be having, it's used
Yes.
over and over and over. So like anything, it could be used to inspire or to get information, but we have to be mindful when we turn it and use it against ourselves, and a weapon against ourselves.
How it
So
influences us, pretty much.
exactly, exactly. And really briefly, I want to bring up the seasons conversation, right? And
Please.
with season, I know you talked about this in previous episodes, seasons of who we are as a human and seasons of sexuality. Some seasons you are in your summer of sexuality, and that's wearing the beautiful outfit and the lipstick and the lingerie. And sometimes we're in the dead of winter where we don't even want our neck to be caressed. Or we're in the spring, or we're in the autumn. And there's so much shame because, again, we're sold just being actually we're sold two things. Don't be anything sexual because that's wrong, bad, all the stories. Or if you're going to do it, be in the summer flashy. And so, right. So, and I think that's an important conversation too, tied to the first question of how often is there shame, like I said, if we're not hitting it enough or if it's too much. So there's always this not enough, too much thing going on. So I do want to normalize that you might be in your winter of your sexuality right now, and that could last years, months, days, hours. You know what I mean? But like there, to give ourselves compassion that we're not always going to be a fiery 10 out of 10. It's going to evolve and it's going to look different.
I love this analogy of using the seasons. Okay. And
Yes.
I love what you said, and it resonating as a woman
Yes,
describing.
exactly.
What about the men?
Yeah, they still have seasons too. It might not look, for us, we're cyclical, right? Women are cyclical. So for us, it really resonates. But men too. It might show up and look differently.
Like
Maybe
how?
there's,
How would it? Yes.
yeah, like I can say, sometimes I see my male clients maybe go through the quote unquote seasons within a day. Maybe it looks different. You know what I mean? Where they're like, it manifests, it's same, but it can manifest differently.
Are
And
they
again,
influenced by
yeah.
their internal world or their external world more? Which one for the male?
Ooh, I love that. I think it depends on the person, but both. But again, there's a different, what's interesting is there's shame on both ends. So for men, they have different types of shame. If they're in, especially if they're in their summer, they could feel shame about that. Or if they're in their winter, they could have shame about that. Um, it's like us, you know what I mean? Like there's I see a lot of conditioning when we're in different seasons. And spring and fall too is like, I'm like kind of there, but I'm not like shaking it about. Is something wrong with me? Like, so I see my male clients too be like, is everything okay? Am I wrong? Am I bad? So I was like, oh, I have to just touch upon this. Because sometimes even when I'm in my winter or my autumn, even talking about like sexuality, I could be like, oh, because there's so much shame of like, I should be in a summer. And it's like, oh man, like,
Stop
oh
shooting.
man, yeah, stop shooting yourself, like stop shooting. So yeah, so I just was like, I was like, we have to address this because I think it's so important in this conversation.
Yes, and now let's talk about that desire itself of
Yeah.
the the need, right? The
Hmm.
multiple times need, whether it's coming from the female or the male perspective or just society pushing it down on us, right? Is
Right.
it coming from a place of that's what identifies intimacy, passion, connection, or is it just hormonal?
Yeah.
Where is it coming from?
All of the above. And what's so funny? Like literally all of the above. And I think it's important for us to investigate and not, to therapize ourselves, but to investigate, like, hmm, today, where is this coming from? Oh, wow, it's coming from a hungry desire. Oh, today I'm feeling a little performative with my partner. Oh, today, so like it's, all those things you listed, I'm like, yeah, they all check. And I think it depends where we are that day and where is that coming from?
But even in
If,
one day, Erica,
yeah,
you can have,
yeah,
let's say, okay, let's just say, I'm going to say a number here, 3 times. Okay.
yeah,
You could wake up in the morning next to your partner, and there's this connection of like love and intimacy. You were just waking up, and you're like, you saw them, and there is a kissing and all of that, and it leads into like a short session of lovemaking,
yeah,
right? You go about your day, you go to work, whatever, or even the weekend, it doesn't matter. But like there's things to do. And then somehow, some ways, middle of the day or early evening,
yeah,
something gets sparked and you do a quick one,
right,
right? Just like a whatever, right? Like it's like the
yeah,
desire is there. Again, maybe you've missed each other or something. Someone said something, someone was wearing something, and it sparked that desire.
yeah,
And then it comes to nighttime, and then you want to get more kinky and playful, and then there's more like foreplay involved, and more sensuality could be involved, and it could be a longer session. And there's your three
yes,
times in a day. Now, is it possible that it happens all the times? No, it isn't,
right,
like, because we're
no,
changing moods. But I mean, I love that we are talking about all the reasons why we feel the need to
yes,
become intimate or sexual with our partner
yeah,
more than once, but even in the same day,
right.
where it's coming from is different.
Absolutely. And I think you nailed like I was thinking back to the first question that we were talking about. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I know I briefly touched upon this. It's like this is such a taboo topic that we always want to almost like check in with ourselves. Like, am I normal? Is this normal? So I think that's why there's such a hunger for statistics.
And I
Like, is
wanted
it
just to
normal to
cut you
do
off
three?
for 1 second there, Erica,
Yeah,
while you're talking about this. Is there such a thing as normal?
right.
And
Exactly.
the answer
No,
is no,
no.
there is
And
no
that's
such thing as normal. It's you decide
right.
for yourself.
Exactly. That's why I was like, oh my, like, that's why I think we have this, again, it's because it's a taboo topic. We have this crave of like, oh, okay, here's the statistic. Ah, I can breathe. Or here's this. So we crave this information to feel safe. And it robs us of kind of being present and being honest and being truthful with ourselves. So if that day three feels authentic, God bless. If you're like, I don't want to in 4 days, God bless. You know what I mean? Like, but we rob ourselves of that truth. I'm thinking about something really briefly that I think it's connected in my training, in my sexual empowerment training.
Mhm.
Part of the orgasm section, what that we learned about the orgasm, the training was we're going to take orgasm off of the table. And people are like,
Yes, I
what?
remember. We talked about
Yes, we
that
talked
last
about this.
time. Yes, I
Exactly. So,
remember.
yes. So, briefly, to recap, do you take it off the table? And it's just about feeling the pleasure in the moment. And if you get to that point, great, but I really try not to, right? Like, just try to be present. And this is the same concept, right? It's like orgasm or time or like, it's like take that thing out of it and just be present. It's different, but it's similar of like I need to get to the goal of the orgasm or oh, I should have 3 times or that's a healthy relate like there's still these like shoulds floating in the air and it's like what if we take those goals out of the equation and just be and follow our truth, and follow our desire, our healthy desire, right? So I think like that they're different, of course, but similar that it's like taking the goal, taking what's quote unquote right, because there is no right, off of the top of the conversation. You know what I mean?
I love that you said the word goal because I just
Yes.
recently had a conversation, another episode, which will be revealed as well. Most people are so attached to the goal of the sexual interaction about the
Yes.
release, right? Like
Yes.
everybody's in it for the release.
Right.
But if we were to put that on the side for a little bit, and you said it beautifully about taking orgasm off the table, we're not saying don't do it. We're just saying
Right.
maybe delay it or don't focus on it too much. Focus on the connection, focus on the foreplay, focus
Yeah.
on the sensuality, focus on the intimacy that you are building emotionally together as a
Right.
couple, which
Yes.
does lead into the sexual intimacy, and the intercourse is the last thing. It's not the
Right.
main thing. It is not the ultimate. Most people
Right.
think that that's what sex is.
Right.
It's crazy, Erica. To this day, there are people think that sex is just about in this goes
Yep.
in this and that's it
And
and
then
release.
boom.
It's not, people. It's
Right.
not. There's so much more to it than that.
Yes. And I remember we briefly talked in our last conversation. We were talking about my work, and people are always caught off guard. Like, what do you mean sexual empowerment could be spiritual? Like, what do you talk?
Yeah.
Because it's right, because they think it's A to B equals C. How
Yeah.
can this be a spiritual work? Like, what are you talking about? And you named it beautifully that there's so much that is deeply spiritual. You're being present, you're enjoying with some, like, there's so much that's so rich that we miss out if we're just trying to check that box or release or hit. Like, there's so much gold that we pass. And for me, that's why I love the work. There's so much, we learn so much about ourselves
Mm.
in that
Yes.
container. You know what I mean?
Yes. And also, there's another thing to consider here. Each dynamic is different. So when you're
Yes.
a couple cohabiting, you're not even married yet,
Right.
life is so different. There's
Yeah.
something about that piece of paper that changes people's,
Yeah.
that the relationship, the dynamic changes, the sex changes
Yeah.
when you're married and have a ring on the finger versus before marriage. I don't know why. I still have, to this day, I
Totally.
don't understand this psychology behind it.
Yeah.
And then there's the dynamic where you're married, you've been married for a while, and you're just whatever going through life. Again, sex changes there. And
Yeah.
then there's when kids come into play. And
Yep.
not just, I don't want to just say when kids come into play. There is the beginning stage when baby's crying, breastfeeding, mommy's tired, just still
Yeah.
getting to know,
Yeah.
her body, and maybe she doesn't want to be touched for a while because there's so much things going on, emotions, hormones, you name it. And then
Yeah.
there's when the children get a bit older, they're in the toddler phase, and then they're in
Mm.
the, school phase, and it keeps on changing, right? And
Yes.
with that, the sexual relationship between the couple also changes. So that's another season we can talk about,
Yes.
right? That's a whole other,
Right. And
and I'm gonna leave that up to you to talk more
yeah,
about it.
I love that you brought that up, because it's something too that I see is whether wherever clients are, whether they're single, whether they're married, they have kids or whatever, I see them holding themselves, their current selves up to their past selves in a way of shame. Well, when I was in my 20s, I was, dancing around New York City, or I was doing this. I'm like, we're in a different time, and it's not like we could take inspiration from that, but we're in a different season and a different cycle of our life. So you nailed it. Like, I often see, take for example, like you said, like a parent in their toddler years. Yeah, they might not be, with a toddler, they might not be making food for their person in lingerie. Like, that might not be the vibe. And often I see them criticizing themselves. Oh, I'm wrong because it looks different. And so I think that's, like you said, this is a relationship. The us to our sexuality is a relationship, and getting comfortable as it changes and shifts. We don't want to always, we don't want to be in our 80s and be like, when I was in my 20s, it looked like this. Like, that's cool, but like, we want to evolve with how we are evolving as human beings and what we need at that time.
Having said that, Erica,
Hmm.
I think also there's another misconception
Yeah.
that people attach their age
Yes.
with their quote unquote desire. So just because they hit a 40 or a 50 or a 60, they've already convinced themselves that, oh, I hit that age. I'm probably not going to want.
Yes.
I, I'm at that age anyway, so that's not important. Said who?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Who
It's
decided this for you? Where is this coming from? Do you even know
right.
what you desire? Have you like
Right.
you just hit the whatever number? Like experiment first, see how you feel, see how the relationship is, then
Right.
talk about, okay, well, maybe it's because I've hit that. Like it's you use the age. I hate for even to use the age at all, period. But let's just say
Right.
you want to use the age as a cause of what
Right.
could be happening, but
Yes.
don't use it as the only reason. It's because you hit the 50, it's because you hit the 60, it's because you hit the 70
Yep.
that this is the way you feel now. No.
Right. And dare I say, you made such a good point, age and also any title. So I see it all the time with my moms. The women that I work with that are moms, like, oh, I can't. I'm a mom. I can't be sexy, or I can't have,
It's the
I can't.
identity.
Exactly. Or, oh, but now I just got a promotion in corporate. Like, I'm supposed to be, pretend I just made partner in a law firm. I'm supposed to be serious. Do I have space in, whatever? So
Yeah.
that these titles that we hold people are
They
that we
forget their
sometimes
femininity and they are into the
exactly.
masculine and they forget that this still is necessary.
Right, it's like you're still allowed to have pleasure whether you're a parent, you are employed, you're not. You know what I mean? Like you whatever your other titles outside, that you hold, aunt, sister, mom, friend, you are entitled to have a relationship to pleasure and sexuality if you so choose.
Mm.
And I see that often. I'm like, ugh, like I'm not allowed to because my age. I'm not allowed to because I'm a mom. I'm not allowed to because I'm in this career or this profession or I came from this background. And it's
It's all BS, people. All of
yes,
it.
it is. I know.
All of it.
I'm like, let's erase it. Erase it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a yeah.
Let's talk about the quality
Mm.
versus the frequency. I mean, we started talking about
Yes.
what is normal, right? And we went into this discussion. What do you consider, in your
Mm.
opinion, obviously, and in your studies and everything, what qualifies as quality sex?
That like actually makes me want to cry. That's such a good question because I'm like, I wish my younger self, and I think people, I've had clients identify with this, people that try to hit like a number or try to
Mm,
just, to feel like, oh, that means I'm worthy. I've seen clients do that, be like, well, even if I kissed or I went on dates with this many people, that must mean I'm like sometimes again, we try to hold on to a number.
mm.
Um, and I think that's so beautiful because and also how often do we talk about that in society like oh what's your number how many people like that why like that's such a conversation even in movies and TV shows like that but it's never like the conversation is never like how present were you did you really enjoy yourself did you feel really safe like what was it like to surrender like those aren't the conversations
I'll tell
and
you
so
what they're
I
talking about, Erica. They're saying how many times did you orgasm in one sexual
right.
experience? That's what they're talking about. And I've been guilty
Exactly.
of that one myself.
Exactly. And it's okay. There's a space for that. You know what I mean? Like there is totally a space and a place for that. That was such a, I think that was such a beautiful question. And I think a question that we could ask to ourselves, like, hey, sometimes it is more like, woo, like this is a fun thing with my partner or myself or whatever, like that, uh, but I would like to add, that could be something to reflect, like, but I would like to also add and put into my practice, like, to have quality over quantity sometimes. I think that's just so beautiful because again, something we don't really talk about. That's not really part of the conversation.
What does it look like, Erica, to have a
Mm,
quality? Let's get a little graphic here. I'm
yes.
okay with a little bit, you know.
I love it. I love it. Everyone's different, but I'm gonna say at the root, connected,
Mm,
consent,
mm,
being listened to, um, being honored, right? Like I think like there's some like basic foundational like boom. Here we are, we're present, we're listening to each other, we're honoring each other, you know, and then we branch off into people's different desires and styles, right? Like maybe someone is more sensual and they're like, I really want you to be present with me and slow down and have the candles, where someone else might be more like kinky and they're like, no, no, they're like, but I still want to be present with you, but it looks different. Or someone might be more just sexual, more like traditionally sexual versus like the candles but there's still that foundation. So I think there's always a root in trust, consent, being like, hey, we're in this together. And then you could brand, and they honestly, it's not like one or the other. They could all intertwine, you know what I mean? But like, I think there is a foundation. And then from there, seeing it's like, this is so corny, but it is kind of like a piece of art. You know what I mean? Like it's like let it unfold as it's supposed to, but when we're so obsessed with the goal and you can't let it unfold. It's just like check. And that's very vulnerable too, I should say. Even I'm like, oh my God, I'm even embarrassed being like a piece of art. I feel corny. So it's like sometimes we feel embarrassed being like, ooh, it's scary to slow down and to be so present and connected with someone to create something that feels really good for both of us. That's very vulnerable. It's vulnerable.
Are you enjoying your journey on the healing train? I hope you are, just as much as I am loving this conversation and every conversation with every guest. We are talking about sex, relationships, becoming empowered, and yes, healing too. We need to heal the old narrative around our relationship with sex, pleasure, and our bodies. A lot of work goes into these episodes, and I would love for more people to find this. If you felt how powerful my message is, support this channel, this platform, wherever you are tuning from. Give some love, comment, and share it. It only takes a few seconds to help this show and help me reach more people. Thank you. I want to add to what the list of things you just mentioned, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to add the vulnerability part.
Yeah.
When you don't feel embarrassed or shy to express to your partner how you want to be touched,
Yes.
where you want to be touched, what truly turns you on,
Yeah.
you can actually learn about yourself and
Yes.
what really gets to you
Yeah.
while experimenting with the person. Because sometimes we don't know because it's probably never happened, right? But
Yes.
as it's happening, to take a moment to say, oh, I like that spot. Really,
Yeah.
that really does something to me. Most women don't speak up, Erica.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
don't let their partner know that I like this. Do more
Yeah.
of this. Or maybe
Yeah.
switch a little bit to
Right.
the left, a little
Right.
bit to the right. A little bit, okay?
Yeah, a little
And
here. Yep.
it's which falls under communication, but
Yes.
communication can mean many things. So I want to be specific with this.
Yes. Yes.
For the woman to be able to tell her man, touch me there,
Yeah.
or do it, can you do it slower now?
Yeah.
Okay, now I want it faster. Or maybe
Right.
you can take the initiative and say, can I switch positions? Or maybe don't ask, just do it. Just do
Right.
it. Don't
Right.
wait for permission, just do it. Right?
Yeah.
Take the lead
Yeah.
sometimes. It's okay.
Right. Right. And I think if I may jump in, I'm like, this is so important. And I won't get too lost in it because we spoke on this in the last episode, so I won't
Yeah.
get too lost in it. But it's important to put a pin in the conversation of this is why I love the work of ple pre-pleasure. What I mean by that is pleasure out in the world while you're out with friends and you're drinking your kombucha and you're really tasting it, when you're listening to the jazz music and you're hearing the different strings, whatever, like that is so important because I have women getting into bed with themselves, with partners, and they're like, I'm not here, like I don't know, like you said, like they're like, I can't, Erica, what do you mean I'm supposed to ask for my needs? I don't know. And so
Mhm.
that's why I'm
Because they're
like,
not
it's
present.
right. And that they don't have, I'm like, if you're tuned out to pleasure throughout the day, it's very hard to then jump in the bed and be like, woo, now I'm all attuned to my senses and to my speaking my truth. So
It's
we
actually better not
need
to do it at all
exactly, because it could
than
be
to
very
be half in, half
triggering.
out.
Exactly, because then you could be like, "Oh, I didn't listen to myself. That felt inauthentic." Like that could be very triggering. And
Yeah.
so a part of my work is, I really make sure because it's fun, but because it's necessary, I do regular pleasure with folks and teach them and talk about that relentlessly, so then it feels safe to transfer to when we get into the bedroom, so they're not free, they're like, oh, I know that I love even the wind blowing past my face, maybe I'll like that with a partner gently touches my face, or oh, I when I get massages I actually like hard pressure, maybe I would like hard pressure in the bedroom, so it's like they're getting their body and their brain attuned to whole pleasure, so when they get into the bedroom they're like, I know what I want, and like you said, I can express that with ease.
Hmm. Well, on the topic of communication and
Yeah.
expressing what you need, I want to talk about the men's needs as well. I find
Yes.
it that women aren't encouraged enough to speak up and ask for what they need because it's slutty, let's
Yeah,
say. It's
totally.
like, how
Yep.
dare you? Like, you shouldn't be. Like, what's wrong with you? It's like as
Exactly.
if you're, again, it goes back to our discussion we had before, as if she doesn't have the right to feel pleasure and to want pleasure just as much as he does.
Exactly.
And we already discussed
Exactly.
where that's coming from and all of that.
Yeah.
So for people who haven't watched that episode, please go back and
Yeah, go
watch it. I'll
back.
have the link up to it. It's because it's like another education point. But let's talk about the male.
Yeah.
Most of them will ask,
Yes. Yes.
right? But some also don't. And I'm
Yeah.
encouraging them to not feel that they are pressuring their woman. Because I think, in my opinion, that's where it's
Yeah.
coming from.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't want to upset her. They don't want
Yes.
to make her feel, again, like a slut
Yeah.
or asking her to do something in a certain way, for example, or to touch in a
Right.
certain place where they're not used to it, where they've never done it, something he wants to
Mm.
experiment with, let's say, right?
Right.
So he suppresses it, doesn't
Yeah.
ask for it, and guess what? She'll never know that that's what he wanted. And he'll
Exactly.
never know whether she would have been okay with it or not. And the thing is
Right.
that if you don't ask, you'll never know. It's
Right.
okay to for someone to say, actually, I don't feel comfortable doing that, and that's fine. You need to respect and accept that. That's
Yeah.
very important conversation to have here. Okay, not
Absolutely.
everything you want is gonna happen.
Yes,
Not everything that you
exactly.
desire, your partner is gonna wanna experiment with you. You can talk about it outside that moment, not in the moment, because then it's
Right.
pressure. And then it will
Yes.
ruin the moment anyways, right?
Totally. It's so true.
You can discuss it beforehand in a playful way too, not like a serious like, okay, let's sit down and talk about how we're gonna
Right.
have sex next time. It's not like that. It could just be in a playful moment, where you're like,
Yes.
I was thinking I wanted to try this. How do you feel about that? It's as simple as that.
Right.
And then see where the conversation goes. And then maybe you could negotiate. Okay, well, I'm willing to do that, but I'm not willing to do that. I like things like this, right? These are the
Exactly.
conversations that we are not having, Erica.
I know and oh my gosh. And I'm also thinking about some of my clients that are men. Like you said, like you nailed it. They don't want the woman to feel uncomfortable. And also, I have people that are just like, I'm shy and I'm scared. What if I ask them what they want and they say, "Oh, like this," and they're like, "I don't know how to do that," or "I can't deliver." And so I've seen many people in the past just be like, I'm just gonna go like my usual 1, 2, 3, because I'm scared if this person brings up, what about this? And I can't do it. And I can't perform. That's a big one for men, is like the performing aspect. And so it's like, oh, like you said, it's like we're missing each other. Like there's so many missed connections and missed conversation. Like we're missing each other, and it's a shame because it's an opportunity for both of us and all the people involved to grow. Like it's a beautiful opportunity for us to grow.
You brought up a very good point in what you just said right now, and I want to touch on that.
Mm.
The experience factor.
Yes.
I mean, people were not born knowing all of that stuff. At some point,
Right.
we had to learn it. At some point, someone taught it to us.
Yeah.
At some point, either you learned it together if you were both inexperienced together,
Right.
or one was more experienced than the other. And it's okay if it's the woman that's more experienced, and if it's okay if it's the man that's more experienced. There is no shame in it.
Yes.
There's no shame in learning
Right.
something new because you haven't been through it. You just haven't been through it. What's up with that? It's okay,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, why do you feel
Yes.
shame about it? Why do you feel bad about it? Why do you feel inadequate about it?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand the fear of not succeeding. It happens to all of us with anything in life. We
Right.
all have those fears. We don't know if we're gonna do it right or if we're
Yeah.
gonna um, please the person. I
Right.
understand that. 100% good fear, but don't let the fear stop you
Mm.
because you may be missing out on something so beautiful just because
Yes.
you're letting that fear
Yeah.
cripple you. Cripple you from
Exactly.
asking, cripple you
Right.
from trying, cripple you from learning.
Yes, I love that. It's again, this is why this work is spiritual. Like it's confronting. It's again using the word vulnerable. Like it's has us confronting a lot of things, but like you said, wow, when we step into it, so much can be gained and we could expand in so many ways beyond what we've ever dreamed of. So it's a worthy cause to fight for.
I love that we're talking about all those aspects, but I do want to
Yes.
talk about what does a healthy sex life truly look like
Mm,
for a married couple? Because again,
yes.
we've discussed a lot of it in layers,
Yeah.
but there's this word healthy and unhealthy,
Mm,
right? Let's
yeah.
look at the opposites and just say, okay, well, what is unhealthy?
Yeah.
Let's call it out. And what
Right.
is healthy? Again, it's not a one size fits all because we've said every dynamic is different. But
Exactly.
generally speaking, certain aspects, either they're there or they're not there, and it makes it healthy versus unhealthy. And I'll leave that to you to say.
Totally. I think we have to, of course, bring up communication. Like that is, of course, is in the healthy bucket. Like for me, that's go like boom, like that is. So even if the couple pretend isn't having as much sex as they used to, or as much intimacy, if there's communication, for me, I consider that a win. Or like, hey, I'm in my winter. I actually don't desire. Can we do like a back rub instead? Yeah. Or can you play with my hair? Yeah. Like for me, I'm like, yes. Like for me, that looks healthy. And if there's healthy communication of like, I'm bummed that we're both in our winter, or I'm bummed I'm in my winter and you're my son. Like if there's that, for me, I'm like, yep, that's in the healthy. And if it's not there, it would fall into unhealthy. Because then there's not that trust. There's not that we're in this together. Like for me, I almost see like there has to be the communication, but there also has to be that connection and that vulnerability of like, let's really go here with the conversation. What do you want this to look like? And I'm sure you've heard this before, with like money dates and sex dates, and couples are always like, sex dates, eye roll, like that's so unhot, but it's like, but that is part, whether it's sex or like I said, touching hair or whatever, like that intimacy is important and part of a healthy dynamic. And someone might say, hey, if you want physical touch, I'm I could give that to you. I'm not craving that. I'm craving for you to listen to me. Is that like for me it's like communication and connection are like we talked about earlier, like that prime foundation. And if those aren't there, it of course it falls into the unhealthy category because then I feel like so much crumbles if that's not there.
One point comes up for me is when I believe this probably happens for the woman more. When he expresses that he wants it all the time, right?
Hmm.
And she forces herself to go
Yes.
along with it and do it anyway when she doesn't want to.
Right.
And it almost feels like an obligation
Yeah.
that she has to do it. I really don't think men will do that. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's happening. Maybe a woman is forcing a man. Who knows? We don't know what's
Yeah,
happening behind those
right.
closed doors. But as
Right.
far as I know, that it's usually the woman that is in that position. And I don't know about you, Erica, but that feels like a violation
Oh
to
yeah.
my body
Yeah.
and my emotions, my everything. It almost feels like rape
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because
it's
you don't want to, but you're doing it because he wants to. And in some
absolutely.
cultures, unfortunately, that is a norm
Mm,
where that's just the way it is.
yeah.
Right? Especially with the older generation. Okay, let's not, maybe the newer generation isn't happening, but the older
Right.
generations, there are Eastern cultures who is like, okay, he's your husband, and when he says spread your legs, you will spread your legs. It's what
Mm,
that's what he needs, his need. You're there to provide
yes.
that need. And this is, of course, we're having this conversation with more modern
Right.
mentality and newer generation. And now we know that that's not the case anymore. There is no such thing that the man has a need and a woman just has to provide. That's we need to
Right.
cancel that out.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's again, this is in our bones. Like it takes like we talked about in the earlier episode. It's in our bones. It's in our blood that we're trying to re step into this new version, this new
Mhm.
empowered version, and it's
Yes.
it's tricky, right? Like things come up where it's like, ugh. But you said it so profoundly, and again, I think I said this in an earlier episode, so I'll make it quick. But something I loved in my training was when anytime we did touch, whether it was self pleasure or even like touching your breast, touching your face. My teacher was like, I never want you to jump in. You need to ask your body consent. And I love, like, she's like, you're not going right to self pleasure. You're not going right to your face or your chest. Like, you will not do anything. Like, you need to ask your body. And it was slow. Like, it was like, okay, do I feel safe to touch my face? Yes. No, I don't want to touch myself right now. Like, and that level of consent and self trust. So, like you said, it absolutely feels like a violation. It is a violate. That's like, I didn't feel safe. It was an absolute no for me. And I felt like obligated to. And I think that's so part of the connection and communication piece, that it's like, hey, I feel bad because I know, not even I feel bad, but like it makes me feel a certain way that, you might want it more. Like, how do we meet halfway in this? I want your needs honored, but I also don't want to override my truth because that would feel really violating to me. And that's where that communication piece is so key. So key.
Yes, it goes back to communication. It always goes back to communication, doesn't it?
It
Everything
does.
we bring up, we say, okay, well, tell the person.
It
But
does.
also requires keeping an open mind.
Yes, yes. I was just
Communication
gonna
by
say that.
itself is not by itself is not enough. You need to have both sides need to have the open mind. The one who has the needs and the desires need to understand that not every need, not every desire is going to be met because they need
Yes.
to respect and honor the other person's wishes and where they are at
Yeah.
that season or forever. It doesn't matter. But, there's no need to say, is that how you're always gonna be? Because I know that
Right.
that statement is being said
Sure.
when
Sure.
someone immediately jumps and say, "What do you mean you don't want to do this?" So is that how it's always gonna be? So I guess I might as well go get whatever I need from outside then. And it's almost
Right.
like a manipulation, a threat that if
Yeah.
you don't give me what I need to have my needs met because it's I, right?
Yes.
And therefore, if you don't do it, I'll go somewhere else and they'll do it. So now again, it pushes the other person to
Yeah.
force themselves to do it because of fear that they're gonna
Yes.
go outside, or they may just say, "Well, I'm sorry, I guess I can't please you then," and that's where they feel like there's something wrong with them. Their
Exactly.
partner is asking something of them, and they're
Right.
telling them no, as if it's like, "What's wrong with you? How come you should want this, right?" And that's
Yes.
wrong. That's wrong, definitely on that person's part because it obviously tells that this person is so self-absorbed, doesn't know
Right.
anything about love or compassion or anything for that matter. That's probably what we're
Exactly.
dealing with here. And I don't know if there's much hope for that, but I guess at
Right.
this point, I mean, right? If that's who he is, that's who he is. No,
Yeah.
normally it is the guy, right? And the woman's role is to be empowered now and know that there is
Exactly.
nothing wrong with her for her wants, needs, or not wanting or not needing.
Exactly. And I think you brought up something so beautiful. It's like, no wonder this conversation is usually so taboo, because we have so much there's just a primal fear in us of, like you said, like those examples that you gave. What if he's like, what do you mean, is this going to be forever? Or it doesn't matter who, like, what does it mean, forever? Then do I have to get my needs elsewhere? You know what, then I'm leaving you. Like, so often we're just like, I'm so scared. And I hear people close down the sexual component, and just be like, I love this person, I don't have the capacity to go into and figure out my sexuality and my sexual empowerment, so I'm going to shut down and just follow their lead because I want them in my life. And so, like you said, it makes sense why there's such a fear to even have that conversation. But often it does go a good way, or you can learn and you can grow from it, and I think it is illuminating to the relationship, of like, and sidebar, I should mention, it's also illuminating when we have these conversations with ourselves. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So conversations, yes, with a partner, if you're dating, if you're married, whatever. But I think this is also important with ourselves. Like, where am I? Like, am I pushing my boundaries, like sexual, like where, how do I feel? Me to me, what's going on with my sexuality and how do I feel about that? Am I okay if I'm in a winter? Do I feel like I'm putting you know what I mean? Like, I think taking an
Honoring
inventory, or
oneself's needs.
yes, is so important. It's an important part of this conversation.
Yes. And it
Absolutely.
goes back again to one of the key components, which you said is consent. Is
Yes,
whatever we
exactly.
do has to be consented, has to be agreed upon, has to be discussed. It's not
Yes.
one person's needs matter more than the other, man
Right.
or woman or man. There's no one needs more important than the other. Both are equally important. Both need
Mm,
to listen to each other and understand each other, adapt to each other, experiment if you're willing to,
yeah.
understand if your partner isn't willing to experiment. But at the end of the day, if you don't ask, if you don't discuss, you'll never know. And then you just sit there and wonder, why do we have a bad sex life?
Right.
Why does it feel unhealthy? You know, and you're comparing yourself to others, to your neighbor, to your friend. Don't compare. This the comparison
Exactly.
thing is another topic that just to wrap up our conversation is to talk about the need to compare,
Yeah.
right? It happens both ways. Women and men
Yes.
do it when they speak to their friends of their
Yep.
same sex. And then, someone may be bragging about, oh, and then he did this to me. And then the friend is sitting there thinking, well, mine doesn't do that. Don't compare.
Right.
Your husband isn't your friend's husband.
Right.
What they need is
Right.
different than what you need. Where they
Yes.
are with their sexuality is different. Their experience is different. Oh my God, there's like so many things I can talk about
Oh,
why it is so different. And it's a mute point to compare.
yes,
Zero
it
comparison,
is.
please.
It
And I would
is.
for you to add your points on that one.
No, I love that. And I'm like, I have to go back because I'm like, oh my God, we could go on a tear on that. But I'm like, I have to go back to this that you said with the needs conversation.
Mm.
And often people that I see come into my Zoom room, um, it's just so scary to even have any needs. Because again, they feel, okay, if I trade and I have no needs, then maybe I'll have love, or maybe I'll have acceptance, or maybe so needs, I think.
Trade. It's like
Mhm,
a trade. Oh my
mhm.
gosh.
And I see it all the time. So, okay, I'm going to trade my needs sexually because maybe, then this person can be my partner. Or I'm going to, there's a real uncomfortability with needs. And I see it a lot that people are bragging, not authentic bragging, but like bragging that they don't have needs. And I see it in circles sometimes, like, oh,
What?
oh, no, right? Like, oh, but no, I don't need, oh, and I'm like, oh, like, it's like, how,
That's self-denial.
yes. And like, it's like, oh, like, it's like, how, like, oh, it hurts, but I see it often. And like, it's how we bond often. Like, oh, I don't need, no, no, no. Like, and it's like, we're just, ooh, but the conversations of needs
Mm.
can be very foreign to a lot of people. They're like, "What do you mean? Like I'm fine. I'm okay. I have thank God, which thank God, not everyone in the world has it. I have a roof over my head, I have water, thank God. And do have other needs. And that feels very taboo. And sometimes people are like, well, I rather have, it's like the one or the other. I rather have love, so I'll put aside my sexual needs. Or I'll do that, like I'll put aside these needs to get this. And so it's uncomfortable being like, what if you get to have both? Or what if you get to have more than just the breadcrumbs? And that's
Mm.
very uncomfortable. But a worthy cause to investigate.
Thank you for that addition. That's
Of
beautiful.
course.
Yes.
Of course.
Oh my God, we discussed so many things. I
Did.
think we've covered a lot of points. I don't even know what our topic is for today
Me.
because we went all over the place. I don't know how to title this. I have no idea how to title this one. I'll figure something out. But in closing, Erica, I want us to maybe give some tips to the audience, the ones who's watching and listening to us, about some things that they maybe didn't think about doing to bring romance a little bit back into their life.
Mm,
You mentioned earlier candles and this and that.
yeah.
That's great. And I'm sure there's lots of tips out there where
Yes.
they can Google it and
Right.
there's all
Exactly.
things to do. But I want us to go deeper than the candles and the flowers,
Yes.
chocolate. Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk about what can both, okay? Man and woman. It's not just on one person's
Yeah.
responsibility, it's both, right?
Yeah.
What can they do to bring some romance back, to have that healthy relationship in addition to the communication and the consent and the honoring and all of that. In
Yes.
addition to that.
Yes. I love that. Okay, I'm going back. I did two fingers, so I remember. I'm gonna hit something and then go back because you know how my brain works. But I had in one of my classes, I remember, and it's funny that we said this. At the end of the class, we were talking about something like this, and we all chanted, "No more breadcrumbs! No more breadcrumbs!" I forgot where it was, but it was one of my trainings, and everyone was like, "No more breadcrumbs! No more breadcrumbs!" And so, if you're taking something away from this episode, and I'm going to get to the romance piece, but if you are getting something from this episode, well, there's a lot of things, but I would hope it's no more breadcrumbs. And that is sexually, that's in life. Like, no more breadcrumbs. Like we deserve more. We need more. And so my invitation is to be attuned to, hello, where am I? What do I need? What do I need as a human? Do I need a sip of water? Do I need a nap? Do I need a cup of tea? Great. And we could build to our sexual life, our sensuality. Like, what do I need? So I say, if you leave this episode, put it on your wall, put it in your phone, no more breadcrumbs. Like that is the mantra of this episode. No more breadcrumbs, no more breadcrumbs. In regards to romance, I think it's presencing. Like you said, we know the communication, we know the conversation, the connection piece. I think it's presencing romance. I think it's presencing this back into our life because often we're like, but let me focus on finance, which is all important. Let me focus on the finance. I have to clean the house. I have to do this. Yes, please. Like, we want to keep a healthy, pie, so to speak. We want all the things to be honored. But this is a worthy conversation too. Your sexual empowerment, your pleasure, romance, whether it's with yourself, a partner, that's important too. And so I think the first step is presencing that. Is it maybe a monthly date, maybe a weekly date? And again, it's not as, we think, oh, it's not sexy if we schedule it. It will be. You know what I mean? Like if when sexy time, like you'll be like, I'm glad I scheduled it. So I think presencing that this is as important as other things in your life, right? So when you schedule your workouts or you meal prep, also say, okay, and when am I having a sexy date? And that could just, and if you're like, I don't feel like self pleasure, I don't feel like having, intimacy with my partner, maybe it's just meditating and thinking, what do I want my sexual identity to be in this next phase? Maybe I want to play with more sensuality. Wait, maybe I want to play with healthy kink. Maybe, so it's like giving yourself that time. You spend time with your finances, you spend time moving your body, you spend time here, there, and the other. Let's spend time presencing this in our life.
Mm,
Phew.
mic drop. I love it. I love it. I really love all the little nuggets that we talked about here and there. I feel very complete with this discussion because
Yes.
we brought up a lot. Maybe
Mm,
we reiterated some of the points from before, but that could be never enough because sometimes with the repetition, people
right.
we need to hear it
We
more
need
than
it.
once in order to finally let it sink in. But yeah, give yourself permission to feel sexy and to
Hmm.
love yourself, the self-love that we talked about,
Yes.
and to when you get into relationships to know that there's no obligation for you to do anything.
Mm,
Do what makes you feel comfortable
yeah.
and not to be consumed with comparing yourself to other people's lives or what it's supposed to be or what you should be doing. Stop
Mm,
the shoulding, right?
mm, yes.
And if you want to have sex 3 times a day, go for it. That's what works for you. If you want to have it once a week, but it's quality sex where you're in each other's presence,
Mm,
where you're spending that time being intimate and connecting, then let that be. If you're having sex 1 time in a month, but throughout the month, throughout the days, you have moments of kissing and hugging and holding hands and watching a movie together and falling asleep in each other's arms or whatever else you are doing. Don't think that you don't have a healthy sex life because you actually
mm,
have the sexual intercourse once or
mm,
twice. Don't worry about the number.
yes.
Don't be concerned about that. Statistics and all that stuff. You're not a statistic. Okay,
Mm,
in the end, yes, when we look at statistics, it gives us an idea of what's happening. But don't look at yourself as a statistic, as a number, right? Do what feels right to you. You decide. You
mm,
make your own rules. As long as you follow the common things, communication, consent, respect,
mm.
just honor yourself and honor each other. And with that, I end today's episode with Erica. Until we meet again, Erica, I don't think I'll ever have enough of you.
No, same.
I love you. Thank
I
you.
love you. Thank you so much.